These days, much of what keeps America powered up and functioning is controlled by complex computer systems called by their acronym SCADA.
Everything is now controlled by supervisory control and data acquisition systems. Systems of systems.
The electrical grid is a SCADA system. The aviation system, the air traffic control system has a SCADA system.
Nuclear and chemical plants, gas pipelines, dams, railroad switches.
All your metropolitan transportation networks are run on a SCADA system.
Tony Schaefer at the Center for Advanced Defense Studies also points out some $9 trillion a day runs through America's financial world, dependent on these SCADA systems.
If you have literally the lifeblood of the economy plus the brain synapses which control your networks on this internet, you may want to think about how you protect that.
The problem is, it turns out that most of these systems are controlled by civilians, and they're doing little to protect them, meaning there's a real weak link in America's defenses.
It concerns all of us in the defense community that people just aren't taking this seriously.
Accidents and snafus have shown if a part of the grid is knocked out, much of the rest of it goes down too. So hackers working from far away may be able to launch small cyber attacks that lead to major disaster.
Well, a lot of people talk about a digital Pearl Harbor, which is where you'd go in and you have a cascading series systems of failure. So you take down the electrical grid and everything starts to cascade from that, and essentially the whole country goes black.
Imagine a scenario where a foreign power in some dark future wants to conquer America, but doesn't want to destroy its riches and resources.
You don't want to lob a nuclear bomb on a location if you can actually defeat it, functionally defeat it, by taking out the power grid, the control measures, or anything else.
Schaefer says the Chinese have complex plans to do just this. The Russians, too.
They have a term called infrastructure warfare, where they look at a foreign country's infrastructure. The Chinese as well. The Chinese have been very good at developing doctrine based on ours.
Yes, America has been testing and readying its own plans for cyber warfare, using a concept called functional defeat.
There's been tests we've done, and I can't get into them because they're classified, but you can get into foreign powers infrastructure, and if you basically turn a power generator on and off rapidly, you're going to destroy it. And so the idea is if you can actually get inside of his web, you can do this.
But James Carafano, a top national security analyst at the Heritage Foundation, doubts a major power would be foolhardy enough to start up a cyber war.
For the Chinese or the Russians or something, say, well, let's take down the American internet. Okay, fine. So then Walmart can't order any goods from China anymore. Well, then you're kind of out of business. So there is this kind of mutual self-assured, assured destruction there.
Also, in this brave new cyber world, no one can be sure of nasty, unintended consequences. For example, Stuxnet, the first cyber attack that did real damage in the real physical world.
Stuxnet, we now know, it was a malicious software that somebody did, which was specifically designed to penetrate Iranian nuclear production materials facilities. Well, that thing went global. It actually got all over the world. And I don't think the people that designed that expected that.
But hackers do keep launching probing cyber attacks on SCADA systems, worrying America's defenders. The FBI revealed there were 3 small attacks on 3 cities in recent days. FBI official Michael Welch said of one of the hackers, essentially, it was an ego trip for the hacker because he had control of that city's systems, and he could dump raw sewage into the lake. He could shut down the power plant at the mall, a wide array of things. One hacker blogged about easily breaking into a South Houston SCADA system in November, writing, "This required almost no skill and could be reproduced by a 2-year-old. Schaefer agrees hacking SCADA systems is way too easy.
This is not like you're trying to break into the SAC targeting computers for bombers. A 15-year-old with a really good understanding and a few tools from Anonymous or any other hacker group you want to think of can figure it out pretty quick.
So imagine how easy it would be for a superpower to launch devastating cyber attacks, especially when America's power grid will soon have more than 440 million points of entry hackers can worm into. Schaefer worries the agency that should be protecting America from such threats, the Department of Homeland Security, isn't competent enough to get the job done.
DHS is kind of the dumping ground for all of the people who can't cut it in Department of Justice, Department of Defense, or any other government agency. That's where they all went.
And a recent study found only 5% of utility and energy company executives have as a main goal preventing cyber attacks on their SCADA systems. A top security advisor recently blogged, "This is bordering on criminally negligent when you are responsible for our water, power, gas, and other sensitive utilities." Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.